What happened here?
That's me. You're there. Shh. I remember my first beer. I had a do you remember your first beer from last night?
Um,
You were cracking me up last night.
it's 7:02. We got to go live. We can burn this bridge later, but right now,
Well, it's actually working out right now.
burn. Houston did pull a massive gamble last night.
I think they nailed it. In my opinion. Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between, right here on 106.9, the Country Giant. Music blaring. The streets in Houston are very, very excited. Driving in, listening to the Sean Salisbury show, which is based out of Houston. People are calling in saying they were so excited. Neighbors were coming to their house because they were yelling so much. Because the NFL draft last night, round one, is in the books. Winners, losers, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show when we get rolling with our NFL draft talk. A lot of news this week. Aaron Rodgers has landed. He has followed the path of Brett Favre, followed the path to New York. Got a haircut, Josh. He got a haircut. Looked like he was getting ready for another State Farm commercial, and so there's a lot of exciting things. One of the biggest markets in the country. Big news. The biggest with Aaron Rodgers heading to New York to play for the Jets. The New York Knicks are playing well. So a lot of things going on. The Philadelphia Eagles, Josh, last week we talked about top three teams that had the most pressure in the franchise world in the draft, and we'll talk about that. A lot of things going on. Our Big Country Electric My Town segment today, where we highlight a local player, coach, or program. Today we're highlighting a program. Katie Alford from Community Foundation of Abilene will be joining us shortly in this first hour, our Embark Land Management Hour. She'll be joining us to talk about Abilene Gives coming up on Tuesday, and an opportunity for you to help change some lives of the nonprofits here in Abilene. But again, a lot to cover. Misty's bag, knowing it's at the battle. Misty picked the number this week. I think she's probably shocked on the number. Not so much shocked on the number she picked. She picked number 9. I think some will be disappointed and shocked, partly because of where we live, partly because of the sports we like, on who Greeny chose as number 9. And so, but anyway, a lot of stuff to cover. Texas Ranger Weekly Report will come at the bottom of the hour. At the very bottom of the hour and the bottom of where they are at the moment. Again, so let's dive into our Lawrence Hall Headline Report. Lawrence Hall Headline Report brought to you by Lawrence Hall of Abilene. If you need a new car, truck, or SUV used, Chevy, Buick, GMC, they'll get you taken care of. Go see the fine folks at Lawrence Hall. NBA is where we're going to start. The NBA playoffs are rolling. They are, for the first time, and I wanted to play this clip. I got to get this up and want to play it here in a moment with you. But the Milwaukee Bucks lose. The Miami Heat this past week beat the Bucks 128-126. And I may save it for a little bit later, but Giannis, because I can't say his last name, Giannis was asked by a reporter if he thought it was a failure that they did not win the championship, and if this season was a failure. I'm going to play this for you because if you've got kids and you're on your way to school, you're getting ready right now, this is the way you would hope your son would answer this question.
No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, be able to take care of your family, to be able I don't know, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards it. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. And if you've never, no, I don't make it personal. So there's always steps to it.
Giannis goes on to talk about how Michael Jordan played 15 seasons, only won 6 championships, and was asking, are the other 9 a failure? This guy's already won a championship. He's brought an NBA title to Milwaukee, and it happens. Not everybody, not the favorite doesn't win all the time. And you can hear the whole clip. Follow us at the Hodge Pack on Twitter. You can that whole interview's up there. The other things, the Knicks advance to the next round of the playoffs. They advance over the Cleveland Cavaliers. The interesting thing about the Heat, they are the first play-in team to ever win a playoff series. The Hawks lose last night to the Celtics. The Celtics move on and will play the Sixers. And there's 2 series left to be finished. That's the Lakers and the Grizzlies. Lakers leading that series 3-2, and the Kings and the Warriors. Warriors now leading that 3-2. And Josh, we were talking about how the Stars aren't advancing into the playoffs. We're starting to see that. I think the Kings are probably going to fade away and the Warriors move on. The other thing that happened this week that was interesting for our Lawrence Hall headline report was Deion Sanders in the spring game. They had the spring game, and Josh, the transfer portal got real hot and got, if you will, Buffalo's left the stampeded out of there, if you will.
They did stampede.
And they lost 18 different people leaving Colorado after the spring game. This wasn't before. This is after the spring game. They leave and enter the transfer portal. And Josh, my question is, we're going to find out real quick how good Deion is, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. Because the hype brought everybody there, and whatever happened, while they were there, they hyped right on back out.
Well, and my question is, and I was talking with somebody, a friend of mine is a coach, and they've won, he's won a couple of state championships, and with some good players. And a lot of those players have brothers that are way younger, like 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we're still going to be okay, but we're not going to have that state championship type of groceries, if you will, in the cupboard. And you have to start asking yourself, how long can you wait that out, the rough years, until those good ones come back? And can Deion, who's been successful wherever he's been, the private school he was at in the Metroplex, successful. Jackson State, successful. Can he wade the waters of the dry years, of the struggle years? And maybe he won't. Maybe this year he's going to get so much of the playoffs and so much of the portal, not playoffs, of the portal, and pull off a Kim Mulkey and add 9 players or whatever. But can Deion handle failure? And again, Giannis is, can he handle the struggle?
Right. Because, to the point and to your clip with Giannis, it's not necessarily failure if they go 7-6.
If you're making steps from 1-11,
right?
If you're making steps, but can he handle the growing pains? That's going to be the interesting part for me and Deion, is because if you look, the merch, it has Prime on it. I don't think Dabo sells clothes with his name on it. I don't think Saban sells clothes with his name on it. I don't know. Captain Goodhair, Cliff Kingsbury may have a shirt that probably is going to be available at USC, but I doubt it's in the school bookstore. But all the stuff that Deion has, it's got Coach Prime, and you can get a shirt with Prime on it. He's already making money off his name, image, and likeness, but he's doing it even again here at Colorado. And I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting, because can he handle the growing pains? Because you think about it, successful at Florida State, successful in the NFL, not a bad baseball player when he played for the Braves and the Reds. He's been good wherever he's been. Can he do it even though it's not a blue chip football job, it's still a Power 5 conference.
Right. And a big jump, like that was one of the things that people talked about with him making that jump from, lower level scholarship football, and being the historically black school, sphere, I guess, did very well in that universe. But now you're in a Power 5 conference. You're at a school that has had success. They've not recently, which is why they needed to make a splash. But those type of things take a while, and rebuilds are not for everyone. There's some coaches that can do it and some that can't. And we'll see, but it's entertaining.
But did you not think that it was odd on how many people left right after?
The timing was weird. When I read that headline, it was. I mean, when he came in, he basically chased everyone off. He was the equivalent of that professor in college that says, "All right, there's 80 of y'all in this class. 75 of you are going to fail. Right.
Good luck to you other 5. You may pass, but it's probably going to be a C, and that's it." And you're exactly right. He came in and said, "Hey, guys, I'm coming, and some of y'all may be leaving," basically, because he was saying, "I've got all these people wanting to come with me." Well, now you got 18 spots to fill, so I hope you have plenty that are coming your way for that. So, anyway, Deion Sanders, NFL draft talk coming. Texas Rangers at the bottom of the hour again. We'll try to keep Josh under control, and maybe we don't need to head out the door like all the Colorado football players as Ranger fans. When we come back, we're going to have our Big Country Electric My Town segment as we highlight again this coming Tuesday. Abilene is a great city to live in. We were working with the nonprofit last night, Noah Project. I'll be playing in their golf tournament today. A number of nonprofits that you can help, that you have a passion for, maybe you don't know about. This coming Tuesday as Abilene Gives kicks off. And it's a lot shorter, and I'm sure that our guest that's going to be coming on in a moment is glad that it's a little shorter. But we'll be back with our Big Country Electric My Town segment. A lot more to cover, tons, draft coverage, all the things. We'll grade the Cowboys draft and much more with more Hodge Pack, sports life, and everything in between right after this.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing the best atmospheres around.
We're hanging off today at the wind.
The wind's going to blow 40 miles an hour.
I'm hoping it blows today and not in the morning round. It takes a break.
Well, right now it's blowing from the south. It's supposed to switch and come from the north, so it's going to be rough. There's probably going to be a little period in between that's pretty nice.
Well, there
Right.
will always be holes that are good, and there's always those that are not. All right, so Katie, you'll be there, and we'll just talk Abilene Gives, where they can find it, and all that. Give Josh a chance to prepare himself for.
Did y'all move on?
Yeah, we did.
Or hang out
Let me
with
see.
just your dog because you've had enough human interaction
Sorry.
this week. Whatever you do, do it with a
Yeah.
Coors Light.
It's a lot
Cold
better.
refreshment made to chill.
Okay.
2020 Coors Brewing
Over
Company,
there
Colorado.
was
Celebrate
It was
responsibly.
tight. Yeah. Well, and it just it's a lot. So y'all move. So y'all go from 8 to 8.
Yeah, we figured we saw other communities doing it and figured donors don't typically go on.
Are y'all AbileneGives.org? Who shot your drone?
That was a DCOA picture, I think. I didn't let us use.
And so can you just put on this search? Is it?
You can search by animal. I think if you click on the search button, you can actually search over on the right by cause. Yeah.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country. Keith Glover here.
Or
with
you
this
can
Coast
put in
Resources Incorporated. I'm
animal,
here to let you
and
know
it'll
about
pull
our
up all of the
construction and
profiles.
shredding business.
Even that
Our
sort of
services
other
include ready
type in
pickup,
search bar.
purges, early accept drop-offs at our state.
There's 100 and I think we have a record number this year, 107.
Are the categories y'all created, or categories that are just
Kind
there?
of generic, and then they select them when they set up their profile, what they fit under. They'll sometimes select one.
232-686.
So why did
Come on out and see us at 3602 North.
so why did these folks like pop up first?
Shredders will too.
Your laptop, TV,
I just clicked on it.
or devices. You might say your Touchstone Energy Cooperative is in the business of keeping you connected.
They're the ones who
Everyone
most
and
searched.
everything that's essential. Day or night, we're always here.
Well, you're gonna, if you take the time to look at them, like, I've never heard of that.
It's out of South Willis Church, South Willis Drive. It's overseas the deaf.
Parkland Management is the most versatile and capable land management contractor in the big country, serving private commercial customers alike.
Okay.
There's 170 of them.
You need to stop chances out upon constructing the site for that really free. Give Parkland Management call.
There's 170 different organizations.
Transparency, communication, and trust. That's what you get with Parkland Management. So give Daniel a call at 325-668-7071 and check out the website at Parkland.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
The time has changed and it's time to hit the range. And Mulligan Sports Bar Grill.
People can give now if they want to. There's early gaming just won't show.
What's your official title?
President CEO.
Mulligan Sports Bar Grill and Golf. You'll be glad to hear.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. It's time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment where we highlight a local player, coach, or program. And today we are highlighting a program, organization, all the things, as Katie Alford, President CEO of Community Foundation of Abilene, joins us this morning. Katie, I know it's early. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And it's earlier than even you'll start next week.
Well, I'll be up earlier than the 8 o'clock on Tuesday, but yeah, no, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me, and here to talk about Abilene Gives.
So Abilene Gives, for those of you that may be new or haven't heard, and Josh, I'm glad you joined us post breakfast. Since you're
more mid breakfast.
Yeah. But you're part of a lot of boards and things, and you and I both are on boards, and so Katie, again, for Abilene Gives, it's this Tuesday, May 2nd. How long has Abilene Gives been going? Because it's not just Abilene Gives. This is something that happens across the state on Tuesday, correct?
Well, across the nation, it's a Give Local Tuesday or Give Local America, and it always happens on the first Tuesday of May. It's kind of like Giving Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It's another giving day. But we started this 7 years ago, wanting to do something for our local nonprofits, giving them a day to really kind of rally around philanthropy, get our donors and our community to rally around that. Some of these nonprofits are small and don't have the funds or the capacity to have their own clay shoot or golf tournament or dinner. And so this, for some, is their annual event.
Well, and there's so many. Again, I'm on the NOAA Project board. Obviously, another one that's passionate about us, not only where I work at Taylor Electric, but also the show is DRI. And so, and Josh, Junior Achievement, you played the golf tournament a couple weeks ago. They're just, and Katie, you mentioned that there's 170. We were talking during the break. So you can go to AbileneGives.org, and there's 170 different organizations. And one of the things that I learned when you go through Leadership Abilene, there's some like, oh, that's here, because there's so many of them. But and since post-COVID, how important is this coming Tuesday because of the fundraisers that may have went away and those stuff like that?
Well, that and the increase in costs of having an event. So now food has almost doubled since pre-COVID. If you're going to have a dinner, the expenses of that, the expenses of renting a facility, the net you make from an event is a lot of times, very small if you could just take those donations and somebody not have to go to an event. Some people don't like to go to events. So sometimes just giving on Abilene Gives is their way of giving.
Well, and that is very true. I've talked to people that I've invited them to things, and they're like, well, if I just gave you some money, do I not have to come? I was like, well, I guess that works.
Well, but you're exactly right. And there's only so many golf tournaments, and there's so many, because you hear people, like even last night, we had people that were wanting to play golf or that needed to fill a golf team, and they were still trying to fill golf, and not everybody plays golf, not everybody clay shoots, but everybody can go to a computer and log in. And so talk about the money that was raised last year and kind of the excitement that y'all seen throughout the 7 years.
Build. Well, we have kind of increased every year except last year. We went down a little bit, but I think that had to do with kind of the timing of everything inflation-wise. Gas prices were going up. groceries were going up. We had the same number of donors and donations. It was just people were giving a little bit less. But I think this year, I have a really good feeling about this year. We're already seeing kind of what's happening on the back end, and people feel a little better this year. I hope that the nonprofits, the good thing about the nonprofits is they learn every year a little bit more and how to tap into their donors or their boards, or how to find challenge gifts or matches. And so I really feel like the nonprofits get more excited each year and are depending on this. And some of them have it as a line item in their budget for one of their fundraisers. And so it's going to be fun. It's kind of this audience, I'm sure a lot of competitors. This is a competitive day. And so if you go to the AbilingGives.org website, there's actually a leaderboard that day showing you who's raised the most. And you as a donor can kind of go help them kind of go up the ladder on that. But that's the fun thing for this. There's prizes, there's amplification dollars that these nonprofits earn.
Yeah, talk about the game. I call them games as the competitor. Talk about the games, and because you mentioned nonprofits having to figure out a way from a marketing standpoint to let their donors know, or let their followers on Facebook know that they can give on this day, and there's giving before and all that. Talk about the kind of, I guess, games. I don't know if that's the right word.
We call them games. We call them prizes. If you go to the AbilingGives.org website, there's actually a button on the upper right that has prizes, and you can see what every 30 minutes there's a prize being given to a nonprofit. Some of them are random. Some of them are just, a pull out of the hat of somebody who donated this hour, and we're going to give that organization another $500 or $1,000. Some are match minutes, where there's the first 10 minutes of the hour. We've got $5,000 we're going to match dollar for dollar for donors who give until it's gone. So lots of fun things going on. And the nonprofits, this is just extra money to them. And we get these dollars from our sponsors here in Abilene, mostly corporate sponsors, but some of our just donors who want to give. And these are people who all that money goes back to the nonprofits. They just want to support. And then we have an amplification pool where we raise some extra dollars. And it's kind of a pot of money that at the end of the day, the nonprofit gets a percentage of based on what they raise. So if they raise 2% of the total, they'll get 2% of this pot of money. So there's a little bit extra incentive for the nonprofits to go and raise the dollars to get some more.
Well, and like one of the things is, I mean, even if you may be thinking, well, I can't give a lot. I can't give. Well, that $25 or $50, depending on the timing that you give, is important too, right?
Right. So, I mean, a $10 gift could actually turn into a $1,000 gift if that gift is drawn as the random or as part of a collective gift for that half hour. Everybody thinks that, well, maybe my $10 doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, the $10 gifts add up. The average gift, I think last year was like $180 that raised almost $1.8 million.
So in these 170 nonprofits, I mean, they cover everything. I mean, talk about the different, like, and you mentioned Abilene, AbilingGives.org. You can go and click on a search and look, and there's a ton of folks and you may not think they're nonprofit, like you've heard, just to mention a couple from the station, Camp Able, Cody Cox and the Buffalo Run, they're doing that, but Camp Able and a lot of other nonprofits, we've already mentioned DRI and Noah Project and JA for Josh and Misty that they're a part of, but just how many different categories, and you may think, oh, they're nonprofit, but there's a ton of them out there and categories are very wide.
Yes, and that's the great thing about this is everybody has their own interest areas. And if you love babies, or if you love feeding the hungry, if you love animals, there's one that's wildlife animals, the skunks, the possums, and the armadillos. I mean, it's really whatever you like, you can most likely find an organization serving that area. You're scrolling through those. I mean, Gold Monarch Healing Center is here in Abilene. A lot of people don't know about that organization. It's a kind of a therapeutic center right outside of Abilene. House of Faith, Houses for Healing. Houses for Healing is an organization that built some tiny homes right north of Hendrick, and they house people whose family members or themselves are having medical treatments at Hendrick or in town, and they're just kind of giving them free housing and loving on them, and a lot of churches have adopted those houses. But even Abilene Crime Stoppers, I know a lot of people have heard about that, but there's anything you have an interest in, there's something there serving those people.
When you're part of this kind of big umbrella you know, and because I've thought about this a lot because recently my inbox, my mailbox has been filled with multiple different places that I do support, and they all need, you know, they all need money. Do you ever find it like somewhat, I don't know if overwhelming is, I mean, you're involved in it like to the, you know, to the nth degree, but is it overwhelming to try to decide where to give? I mean, and you're kind of like the mom of all the little ones. You can't like pick your favorite, but is that ever a challenge?
Oh my goodness, yes. Because we love them all. It's just sometimes it comes down to, even on this day, of who can get their name out there or who can tug on your heartstrings. It's part of this whole day is telling their story. A lot of them have improved and increased their visibility on social media because of this day, and I think that's a good thing for them because they are able to tell their story. But you know, the pictures, the videos, we have social media contests. We're really trying to push this so that the ones that tug it the hardest are typically the ones who will get a little bit more from you, and
Because you got to be creative. I mean, you've got to be creative on how you market, because there's 170 or 169 other teams you're competing against on trying to raise it. And Katie, you mentioned it. It's an opportunity. It is a fundraiser. And for like Noah Project, we got our golf tournament today, and Abilene Gives on Tuesday. And so the staff and all those folks are working really hard to get that, you know, to make it the best you can, because it is money that you have to work for, but it's a different work for. And I'm sure it's nice. The difference is you don't have a bunch of people at your office with phones. I'm assuming everything's online. You're not the telephone ringing like Kramer on PBS that they were doing it for.
One of the good things is, and we track this statistically, just because of when people check out and they're, you know, got their shopping cart full of things, and there's a question for each of them that asks, are you a new donor to this organization? And the new donors that these nonprofits pick up, I think it's like 30-40% each year. And so that's a good thing for the nonprofits, because they're able to get some new donors and hopefully steward them and kind of pull them into their programs.
I think it'd be curious to know, like, because Josh, again, we were looking at it, and AbileneGives.org, you start looking and you realize I wonder how many people go, okay, I'll do that one. Have no connection to, but they like the logo, kind of like the way some people win their brackets. Hey, I'm going to pick them because I like their uniforms. I'm going to pick them to win. And if they do that based on that, follow them on Facebook and all those things, or if they just happen to click on Abilene Home Away from Home and all these folks that maybe you haven't heard of, but there's a ton out there, and it's really cool. It's a big day. And real quick, do you talk to other CFAs or foundations of like how do y'all work together and kind of make sure, take ideas of other people, what they're doing?
Absolutely. So this was an idea. I mean, we didn't come up with this idea. There's obviously others going on. And so the platform that we use, which is GiveGab, they provide a lot of connections or trainings for us to see. And that's how we even went from a 24-hour day to a 12-hour day. There were other communities doing that and not seeing a decrease in their giving. They actually saw it increase because people are kind of driven to give in a shorter time period. So some of the changes that we make are based off of what we're seeing other communities do. Here in Texas, we do talk to our friends in San Angelo or Wichita Falls, East Texas. They all have these days. And so we kind of try to get some best tips from them, or some kind of share some ideas or take some ideas, or sometimes they'll even take from us. So yes, we do kind of look to see what's being successful out there.
That's what coaches do too. Well, Katie, I know you, again, busy week leading up to, and you're busy raising money for these folks outside of Abilene Gives, but appreciate you taking the time, folks. If you've not heard of it, I don't know how you haven't. It's like Josh said, people are reaching out and wanting to make a difference. You can make a difference on even starting today, but Abilene Gives starts 8 o'clock Tuesday morning, 8 to 8. Find the organization you care about, find the organization you want to help, and encourage you to use Facebook and all of the things to promote the organization and get those dollars and make that $10 turn into 1,000 or even more. And so I appreciate you doing it this morning, and hopefully Tuesday goes well and you set a record and all the things.
Well, thank you very much.
That would be great.
Thank you.
All right, that's Katie Alford, Community Foundation of Abilene. AbileneGives.org. Head over there and you can find the charity of your choice, the nonprofit that you want to help. give a little money to and change lives, because that's what nonprofits do. When we come back, they're making money, but they're not making wins, and that's the Texas Rangers. We'll be back right after this.
Can you take a picture of us?
Yes.
Emerald wanted.
Yes, having fairs around with amazing food, great drinks, live music, TV's favorite sport.
All right.
The Coast and Wild team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and they'll send it. We'll post it on.
Okay.
So, all right.
It's I feel like it's overwhelming for me. It's being just involved in a few different organizations, and they've all, said like, share this on social media, or, and it's like, I gotta pick. And I
Look how cute you are in your little yellow polo.
It's pretty yellow.
I love it. It's very springy. I know. I almost wore a dress, but it's like so windy out there. I'm glad I didn't. It's like, how did it move in the people?
I'm here to let you know about our document destruction and paper shredding business. Our services include routine pickup, purchase, or we accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art safe and secure facility. Our folks at DRI, or better known as the DRI Shredders, are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents.
All right, Josh, we're gonna come back Rangers.
We've had piled up over the years.
And then we'll just get back to your segment being 7:45 ish.
At 3602 North Clark Street. Really
Okay.
glad you did. And I know the DRI Shredders will too.
I think that was
This one. Oh, this, okay. I was like, this is a big fat one. They haven't been that way lately.
What's that?
The burritos,
Haven't been what?
like big and fat lately. They've been pretty small. Like today, they're a little short.
Just stop. Just eat the burrito. Quit describing it, please.
Oh my gosh. It's just a burrito, people.
I know that. We know that. Listeners may not.
Play 18 holes and go enjoy a delicious meal, cold drinks with friends. Head to 1166 Ben Ritchie Drive, Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. You'll be glad you did. Embark Land Management is the most versatile and capable land management contractor in the country, serving private and commercial customers alike. Embark can get the job done, so if you need a stock tank cleared out upon completion or site prep and land clearing, give Embark Land Management a call at 325-668-7071. Transparency, communication, and trust. That's what you get with Embark Land Management. So give Daniel a call at 325-668-7071.
Welcome, looked at the weather, and man, he was like, should we cook out today? And I said, oh, look. At 5 o'clock, we're supposed to be going 45 miles per hour from the north.
With what time?
5, like right after work.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. As you hear, and the roars as you hear is pretty much very similar to kind of what we heard this past Tuesday as the Hodge Pack. Welcome back. The Hodge Pack crew was at ACU watching ACU and Tech, and there was a lot of Tech fans in the stands, which makes sense because we got a lot of Lubbock Red Raider folks here in Abilene. But the cheers that you hear is from the Yankees and the Rangers game. Unfortunately, we all know this. When the Yankees come to town, it becomes a bit of a road game for the home team of the Texas Rangers, and the Texas Rangers are on a bit of a skid as they've lost 4 in a row now, Josh. Is that correct?
Four in a row.
Four in a row. They're struggling a little bit, and they lose last night 4-2. Want to just throw out real quick, though. We're back in our Potosi Live studio. Potosi Live, don't forget, they've got a lot of amazing shows coming up. This coming Friday, May 5th, they've got Rick Trevino, Cinco de Mayo celebration. The Kentucky Headhunters coming in on May 11th, and we'll read more of those later. But also the Summer Jam, Giovanni and the Hired Guns, Clint Black, Wade Bowen, June 15th, 16th, and 17th. Get your tickets. And Josh, you mentioned the wind's going to be blowing today. You better hold on if you're playing golf. Hold on to your golf shorts, your skirts, all the things you better hold on because golf is going to be tough today. And baseball's been tough for the Texas Rangers the last few days. And so, Josh, should we panic like Dion with 18 people leaving, or really what should we be doing as Ranger fans?
Well, I'm. It's hard to answer because I feel like you should scream and run for the doors. Season's over. Go ahead and pack it up.
But really, should we? You're a very panicking kind of guy. You're very.
I am very, very much so. I'm a pessimist when it comes to teams.
Well, and I think the frustrating thing about the Texas Rangers is they had leads against not very good teams. And in baseball, in basketball, in football, you've got to find a way to put a team away, end it, and move on. And again, we talked about leading into these games with the Athletics and with the Reds, that these were games that if you took care of business, you could separate yourself from the Astros and the Angels. And then you could make the Yankee series not as it's still important, but you can lose a couple and it doesn't hurt you. But when you lose to teams like the A's and you lose 3 in a row to the Reds, and the Reds, they probably had a parade winning 3 in a row.
Well, they won 2 walk-offs in a row. So, if I was a Reds fan, I'd be pretty pumped about it. But you're exactly right. If you flash back to, this time last week when we were sitting here talking about the upcoming games for the Rangers, they had 3 against the A's, who are the worst team in baseball, possibly on record-setting bad, as far as number of losses, followed by the Reds, who are last place in their division, also just not very good. So you're thinking we got six games in a row against very poor opponents. Things happen in baseball. You lose games against bad teams. That's just going to happen.
Well, but 82 game season in the NBA, 162 games in the Major League Baseball season. Those days happen. Yes,
but then they went 2-4 in those 6 games, and the 4 games that they lost, they had leads. In one game, it was a 6-0 lead before melting down, and it was truly bullpen meltdown. And obviously, I think that the Rangers are good. Their pitching staff, their starting pitchers at least, are legit. And Heaney last night had a hiccup, gave up 3 runs in an inning, back-to-back homers. But the thing is, and as you mentioned, when you look at the schedule to see the Yankees are coming to town for 4 games, you're thinking realistically, if you split that, if you go 2-2 against a good team, there's nothing to hang your head about. So we're still on pace for that. And the way that the staff's lined up, we had their ace against our number 5. So Garrett Cole pitched well. Heaney pitched well, except for the 1 inning that he kind of got off the rails. And we ended up losing, but I'm not terribly upset about that. But the bullpen is a problem, and if it's not addressed, this team will not be good. That's I'm not saying dumpster fire, but they're not going to be able to put away games with the bullpen as currently constructed. So something's going to have to be done. But I will say this: the brightest hope for me right now is that the offense is still doing well. Corey Seager will come back. Corey Seager was absolutely tearing it up before he got hurt. And then the other thing, all of you out there that don't follow prospects or follow the farm, do yourself a favor and today Google Evan Carter. He is 20 years old, playing in Double-A. He is the youngest player in the Texas League. He's batting .380 with a .516 slugging percent, or a .516 on base percentage, and .640 slugging. So he's leading all of the minor leagues in on base percentage. Like I said, he's 20. He's a legit outfielder. Quality glove that's going to stick in center field most likely, but we have a glaring hole in left field. So prospect watch is full-fledged, full steam ahead. Look for him. Make sure that when they call him up, you watch that first game so you can say, I remember when he played his first game. That's always a fun thing to look back on. So there's definitely hope for the Rangers beyond just Evan Carter, but get excited about Evan Carter.
Well, and there's plenty to excited about. The division that we're in is competitive, but it's not. Nobody's running away with it at all.
The Astros are on a tear, though. I mean, so if we're not careful, we'll be looking. They'll be we'll be in their rearview mirror, and we'll just be playing for a wild card. Which going into the season, like that was the expectation. So that's not anything that's crazy. But DeGrom goes today against the Yankees. It should be. It's a point.
You got to win that game. You got to get back on track and get going in the right direction. Now, one of the things that was fun, and again, Major League Baseball players that used to play for a school that was in town, Young and Tech and ACU were in town. We were there for it. Misty saved us some seats. But that was a lot of fun. It was a good crowd. Again, it felt like a ACU road game a little bit, which, it's really cool that Coach McCarty, they do those. They get some Power 5 guys to come in. We got to watch Michigan State last year. Was there for the Tech game. ACU did a great job this year. Last year.
And they play Baylor this Tuesday.
They play Baylor Tuesday. They play TCU or already played TCU.
They did play TCU
on the schedule, but it was a good atmosphere, and it was a lot of fun and a lot of people there. And Josh was begrudgingly didn't want to take the photo, but
but our listeners love that. They love to see us out and about.
Do they really?
I think they do.
Oh, I'm sure it's a screensaver for somebody today.
Oh, you know it. A
Whoever
shrine.
that is, I need to make sure to
Hodge
avoid them
shrine
because
in
they
someone's
are.
basement.
Josh Abilene Gibbs just with that photo on the end. But no, it was a lot of fun. Good crowd. Like I said, a lot of ACU folks. And at the time, it was 6-0 ACU, and then the storm came through, and everybody had to leave. And so now, Misty, you were looking up. Have they rescheduled that? I'm assuming they didn't resume.
No, it did not resume.
They did not resume. It just says that it will be rescheduled at a later date. So I don't think that they've announced anything just yet. But yeah,
I don't think if you're Texas Tech down 6 on the road, and I don't know that you care to resume it.
Yeah.
Just move along.
Yeah.
We win. See ya.
Yeah. Bye.
That one didn't count.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's good. Of course, ACU's done a really good job. Of course, the Crutcher Scott Field's been there quite a while. But you think of the facilities now that ACU's done a really good job of creating a facility and atmosphere from the remodel of Moody. Of course, Anthony Wildcat Stadium.
It's all top
so when you
notch.
come in, now the biggest thing, and of course your bank's right across the street.
Yeah,
is
that makes it
parking,
really nice.
Parking's tough.
Yeah.
When you
It
go
is
to an event.
absolutely terrible parking, but that's kind of par for the course.
Everybody just whenever we left, that backfield behind our bank. I mean, there were cars, everywhere back there. So yeah, our bank parking lot fills up really fast on game day.
For sure. And so be sure, get you some tickets. Go watch Baylor and ACU this coming Tuesday. Again, they do a good job, and Interaction and Clayton Tucker on the mic does really good. And so check out ACU and Baylor this Tuesday. Check out the Texas Rangers continuing their series this weekend with the Yankees. When we come back, we'll open up Misty's bag and see what she has in store for Josh and Hodge. We'll be back.
Pre-buy your tickets for the Baylor game was $2 cheaper. It's $10 for the family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I need to get on and buy my tickets.
Because I bought them at the door the other day, but then because I forgot to buy them online, they're $8 online or $10
Okay, yeah,
at the door.
because we're definitely gonna go.
That was fun.
That was. Do y'all like sitting on the third base line
Oh,
like
yeah.
that? Okay. That's kind of what I thought. I thought those seats were
My
perfect.
favorite seat in
Okay.
baseball.
Well, I will. That's same. I like to sit there, but
I don't like right behind home plate, even though it's like the
no, me
right.
either.
I like to be.
Well, and then depending on where you are, it's like you can see, but then you're like, okay, I don't know. I thought where we were sitting was perfect, but yeah, I will do my best to try to get us like that. Just really worked out.
We'll be on time. Well,
Okay, good. Or a little earlier.
We canceled baseball practice for next
Okay.
Tuesday,
Perfect.
so we're gonna actually go to
Somewhere and eat before the game.
over
Okay.
there at that Ellen Ridge. or
Because
whatever.
obviously it's super easy because we just, you last time Clay went and picked up Collins and then came back and we just went
Is
right
this
over.
fan helping any?
It's actually comfortable in here for the first time maybe ever.
But yeah, we'll be over there. And really, it didn't start really filling up till right about game time.
Well, and I also noticed that even when we were leaving, there was still just a steady stream of people coming in.
Yes, that's why.
But I think a lot of people were like us that had. I mean, we did baseball
Yes.
and then drove over as soon as it was over.
And I think some people were like, okay, how's the weather going to be? Okay, I'll just go for it, So it worked out, but yeah, I think ACU does a really good job of just their little sounders and the
Oh, yeah,
music.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
they
Clayton
really,
does a really good job.
yeah, like it's really, you feel like you're at a college game, and like whatever that one tech pitcher was trying to pick off the runner at first. Yeah, he's like, boring. I was like, that was great. And obviously, I'm a Tech fan, but I was just like, even the Tech fans around us were like, come on, like pitch the ball already. They just really struggled on the mound.
Better known as the DRI shredders, are here to assist, insert you in the destruction of your most private documents or just those annoying stacks of boxes you've had piled up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6866.
When that guy, when he was throwing pickoffs over and over again, it's like, Hodge, this is why the Major Leagues did away with the pickoff move.
Yes, I know, because he did like 4 in a row
Yeah.
or something.
And the guy still stole the base.
Yes, exactly. They were just not. Yeah, Tech was not having a good night. But it was fun while it lasted.
But also, Tech, they're not pitching any of their studs.
Right,
It's all people that
exactly.
are like wanting to get work.
Yeah, and wanting to see like if they're going to turn into something next year. Yeah,
So it's sometimes deceiving.
right, exactly.
Time to hit the range at Mulligan's Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. Come relax on the patio, hit golf balls on the driving range, play 18 holes, and go enjoy a delicious meal of cold drinks with friends. Head to 1166 Ben Ritchie Drive, Mulligan's Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. You'll be glad you did. Embark Land Management is the most versatile and capable land management contractor in the big country, serving private and commercial customers alike. Embark can get the job done. So if you need a stock tank cleaned out upon constructing a site, wrap the land car.
Gosh, I'm so ready for football. I know. Oh my gosh, it's just kind of long. It's been good. It's just long.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Live and everything in between. You hear the Queen of Memphis by the
I'm not
Facebook
sure.
Live coming in. Hey, we figured out how to get Facebook Live out to the radio world. We apologize for that. But anyway, Confederate Railroad.
What was that?
The Queen of Memphis is playing, and you can hear the Queen of Memphis being played by the Confederate Railroad at Potosi Live, June 22nd. Tickets are on sale. We've got downstairs tables, $30 per person, Sky Deck, $50 per person, and Barstool area, $20 a person. Check out the Queen of Memphis. I'm looking forward to the Confederate Railroad. Can't wait to hear them. Queen of Memphis, Trashy Women. It's good stuff, so can't wait for that. And so
a little on the trashy side.
Yep, a little bit, just a little bit. Yep. But now, speaking was going to
What
say.
are you about to say? Speaking
Speaking
of
of
trashy
trashy
women,
women,
it's time for Misty's bag. What in the actual?
No, that's not
that's
what
the
I meant.
best segue I've ever heard.
I apologize. That's
It's
not
not
what I
my
meant.
fault.
Speaking of bags, carried sometimes with trash in it. We now time for.
We're off the rails. Hadn't even started.
All right, go ahead, Misty. It's all you.
We're derailing. Okay. So this is a little bit to do with Abilene Gives and little draft picks. So Abilene Gives is next week. Which athlete are you drafting to fundraise for your favorite nonprofit?
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow. Why?
He does a pretty good job. I mean, that's an easy answer. It's really not a whole lot of thought process into it. But like, Tim Tebow goes around and speaks anyway.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow has a heart. You know, I would call him athlete/preacher. So depending on your nonprofit, he would do a really good job of probably researching it, understanding that nonprofit. So yeah, I would go with Tim Tebow would be an easy answer. I probably need to think of some other, maybe more difficult thought process. But who would you get yours to be?
I mean, I still think that like if you around here, you just bring Nolan Ryan and say like, "Here's Nolan Ryan."
Like
Show
he
up.
doesn't have to talk.
Mm-mm.
He'll just give you all of their money.
I mean, that's a true story. Nolan Ryan could show up, sign a few baseballs,
Yeah.
give those away of some sort. Yeah, Nolan Ryan still has a lot of clout, if you will, in the big country in the state of Texas.
Right.
As, again, I know y'all haven't read through it, but he's 53 in the book. He owns a lot of records and tied records and all those. But Nolan Ryan still carries a lot of weight.
I feel like Patrick Mahomes in this area
Mahomes would probably
would
be a
do
draw.
a lot because all of the Tech fans around here. And I mean, it's Patty. I don't know.
Well,
like
I
would,
mean, yeah, he's
he's
a superstar.
yeah. I mean, I would be like, yes, whatever. Well, not anyway. But
yeah,
yes.
but I think, but
Still just get Tony Romo. And
yeah,
Oh,
Tony
that
Romo.
way Misty could give away all her money.
I'll
Yeah.
go broke for Tony.
Tony Romo would be one that would still draw. I think if you brought Troy Aikman in, I think the NFL person, most Dallas Cowboys folks, I say they're not all of them are going to be beneficial. I mean, we saw Emmitt Smith came in a few months ago.
Well, you got to get obviously for that type of thing. You need someone who has real star power, and on top of that, likability. You know, because I mean, there's certain guys that you'd be like, huh?
Well, you know, and that's one of the things that I remember back in the day, going back to celebrity things that before this took place, before the folks that would bring in Peyton Manning and Terry Bradshaw and all that. But do you remember the World of Wheels?
Yes.
The World of Wheels would come to Abilene, and there'd always
Nate Newton.
there'd be always one random celebrity, whether it was a actor or maybe an older athlete, or a wrestler. Or I remember when I was young, I got my picture taken with the General Lee, the Dukes of Hazzard car, and I remember the guys from Chips came. Those are the things that back in the day, the World of Wheels was a big thing in Abilene, and they'd have it at the Coliseum.
Yeah, but you're right. It always was like some kind of B-lister,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
But still, you're like, okay, you want to get your picture made with whoever.
I did. I said Nate Newton because at an event in Abilene, I got a Nate Newton autograph when I was younger.
well, do you remember when they used to play basketball against the police?
Uh-huh.
I think
That's
who they played.
exactly where it
I
was.
was going to say,
Yeah.
I
They
heard
would
about
play
that.
against the police, and it was always kind of a
Globetrotters.
Harlem Globetrotters used
Those
to be a
were
big deal.
huge.
I remember getting it was a headband, but he wore it around his neck, and I don't know why I thought it was very, very sweaty. I was like,
Very
Yeah.
sweaty.
I'd be like, I'm good. I don't want your.
but you think about
Here's
that.
my jockstrap, kid.
Yeah, but
Not much.
But if you think about it, the Harlem Globetrotters are those. But these different celebrities that endorse endorse, whether it's obviously product, but like nonprofits, and you hope that they have a passion for it and not just an endorsement of a check and all those things. And so, but the celebrity thing, when you go to pick one, as companies have found out,
They're very expensive.
they're expensive and it's important. Because if you pick the wrong celebrity, it can be bad.
Or the wrong slogan, or
Yes, and so
changing your advertising.
yeah,
Bad
it can be
happen.
a struggle. But when you start thinking about people that would make an impact, because the reason I think of Tim Tebow and why I said
I
real
hadn't
quick
even
Tim
thought about
Tim Tebow
but he is.
is
good.
I think of Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, and those, not as spokesmen, stay with me. But if NIL was around when those guys were playing college sports, they'd have killed him.
Johnny Manziel would have flamed out well before he went to the NFL.
Well, I mean, but how long will we see? And I know going to continue with Misty's thought process on celebrities. Will we see these guys not feel the need to leave as early to go to the NFL if their check is decent enough? Obviously, it's not going to be NFL money, which could, not first round NFL money. And we'll talk about the NFL draft in our Embark Lane Management hour number 2. But you start thinking about the money that they make on these deals. Will they stay in longer instead of jumping ship to whatever league they're playing or sport they're playing?
I don't know. That's gonna be interesting. I guess depending on the size of the compensation package and what all endorsements they have, and how good their team is. Maybe if they're trying to get a championship, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that depend on that, and at least for my decision.
So you went with Patrick Mahomes. You went with
Nolan Ryan.
I went with Tebow.
Any females?
Female sport or athletes?
Yeah.
Female sport athletes.
Any females?
What about trashy women?
Yeah, or trashy women.
Yes.
Apparently, you want me on your team.
Well, you can endorse it. Female athletes or female celebrities in general. I think Carrie Underwood would probably do well in this area. Based on the $877 million that she's going to make off the tour, her Eras tour, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift
A lot
would.
of Swifties in the area.
Yeah, like if there was a breakup nonprofit, she would be a great
Yeah,
spokesperson for the breakup nonprofit.
What about an athlete? I'm trying to think.
Well, like Serena Williams,
That's what I was
obviously,
just
she's
thinking.
like the greatest women's tennis player probably ever. But it's different because in just the way that it is, like there's the WNBA obviously, but I would struggle to name 5 women who played in the WNBA.
It's
you would have
irrelevant.
Sue Bird and Taurasi and some of those.
Well, and there are, but it's just, I
But
guess
Serena Williams is the most recognized.
Right.
Yeah.
When you start talking Mount Rushmore of greatest athletes of all time and domination, what
she's
she
definitely
did,
a contender.
she could be battling for one of the top 4 athletes of all time on how good she was. You would probably Simone Biles. Biles. You would
she would be a good one.
The gymnasts and the Olympic athletes on the female side are probably more well known.
Yeah, like
but their popularity, obviously, it didn't even pop into my mind. But that's just on that Olympic cycle.
Yes.
When the Olympic year is there, they're on all the commercials on TV. They're super famous, and then 2 years later, it's like.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, again, Misty's Bag brought to you by Mulligan's. Appreciate Mulligan's, and go check them out on Ben Ritchie Drive. They got a bash coming up. Kyle King actually will be on the show next Friday, May 5th, to talk a little bit more about the bash that's happening at Mulligan's. That's hour number 1. When we come back, we'll kick off hour number 2. The NFL draft yesterday. Big news, not in the city that we would think, but in the state of Texas. Big splash, and unfortunately, one of my teams that I said had the most pressure did a really good job, and it's not good for Dallas. We'll be back right after this.
Stanford TV, 106.9.
Speaking of trashy women,
It's time for Misty's Bag. That was great.
Deep
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
the best segue ever.
That really was good.
Purchase,
Trashy women need to be in the podcast title. Where
Yes,
notes.
definitely. Trashy women. All men like trashy women. Just a little bit here and there. Don't even lie.
A little on the trashy side, I believe, is what the
Yes, a little
theologian
on, yeah.
got.
Y'all all
the
want them a
theologian.
little trashy and crazy.
What am I looking for? Oh, trashy.
A little bit.
You'll be glad you did, and I know the DRI shredders will too.
I did not even make it to Dallas's pick last night. I fell asleep.
And we rely on
I
our Keystone
didn't.
Energy Cooperative.
The co-op isn't just about electricity.
What time? I don't even know what time it
Power
ended,
of
but
information, efficiency,
I crashed.
technology.
That's why whenever I have a question
It did.
about energy,
It went
I
late.
always
It
call
just,
the
yeah,
Keystone
I was like,
Energy
okay, I
Cooperative.
gotta go to
Because
bed.
my community,
I am co-op. And the
So it was
co-op
funny, we were
is
watching the draft
most
and
important
Collins
part of
runs in there and it's like, you know,
Stop by our offices.
Houston, Texans, you know, select
Yeah.
second pick or whatever, and she goes, LeBron James. I was like, what? It was so funny. I was like, wrong sport, wrong time, wrong. Like I had failed you.
He would have been a heck of a tight end, though.
It was just so funny because she didn't know, you know, she
Yeah.
just comes in there like running around. Oh, yeah. LeBron James. Like, nope.
Interesting, Will Levis did not get picked last night.
It's million time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Military Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin beer. Have you enjoyed the Toasty Live?
Casey and I are
experience yet?
literally
If not,
wearing
you're missing
this
one of
almost the
best
same
atmospheres
outfit.
around.
Look
With
at this.
amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. Toasty Live team will
Like-
make sure
like,
you have
oh,
an experience
we
that
are
you can tell your friends about. Check out
twinning.
PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook
can-
for their upcoming live music.
Does anybody have the ability to look up real quick the
FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
What do you want us to look up?
the trade?
There's no better place than Lawrence
It's
Hall
in the
Appling.
notes.
For over 33 years, Lawrence Hall Appling has been the place to find the best juicy good game shit. And that is still true today. Great products and great service too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us.
There were 9 Big Ten players selected, 8 SEC players, 3 from Georgia, 2 from Bama.
Hi, I'm Sharon Riley. Here in Abilene,
The Eagles
folks have
pick
lots of
up,
options for eating out, from large chains to locally owned mom and pops like us. I
Good
want
stuff.
you to know
So
we
much.
really appreciate
Huh?
your
So
business
much.
and are always striving for wonderful food, service, and prices. So we listen to you.
That Jalen Carter pick for the Eagles, I was like,
Yeah,
big.
I was like,
Big.
that's a huge, yeah.
Well, and they got his teammate, the outside linebacker.
Yeah, I was like that.
Nolan
That's
Smith.
gonna be trouble for us.
At First Bank and Trust, our story started in 1996. And
Will Levis is on the sideline.
And Bijan going 8.
Yeah, that surprised me.
That me too. Bijan
Yeah, I
going.
mean, it did, but it didn't.
Right.
Because all the people, you know, like the experts say, you can't draft a running back. I say they're stupid. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
I
Mike
mean,
Greenberg agrees with us.
like
It's
a
the
good
best
running
time
back
to
is
have
still
a,
a good running back. I mean,
Right.
pick him up in the draft. Like you get 5 years.
yes, you have to pay a little bit more, but it's still the right one.
I was just surprised, yeah, how high some of them went. But yeah, the Texans were like, hold my beer. Let me do some things. Like, oh, it'll take a lot more than that though. To come back from their dumpster fire.
Turn it up, and that's exactly. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. Brought to you by Lytle Landing Cattle. Be sure you check them out on Facebook. They're live at Lytle shows every Thursday up until June 1st. Go check them out, and you will not be disappointed. Order you a Hodge Pack. Check them out on Facebook. Tons of live music. They do a really good job at Lytle Landing Cattle. But sweet home Alabama and sweet home for the Houston Texans yesterday. New home for Aaron Rodgers. NFL draft last night. A lot of NFL to cover, so we'll be doing that as we kick off our second Embark Land Management Hour today on the Hodge Pack. Again, don't forget to download, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can check it out at all your places, Apple and Spotify. But last night, the NFL draft kicked off in Kansas City. For many years, it was in New York always. They bounced it around and was in the home of the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. And last night, everything went semi-way we thought it was going to, at least at pick number 1 and pick number 2, as Bryce Young gets drafted by the Carolina Panthers. And, my thought is, really, everybody knew what number 1 was going to be. I don't think anybody was really curious. The Panthers needed quarterback. I guess some people thought they might have picked C.J. Stroud, but picking Bryce Young, and really the Panthers, who finished strong at the end of last year. If Bryce Young can be the person that people think he could be despite his size, that division, the NFC South, is about as weak as it could be, in my opinion. Right now, Baker Mayfield's probably going to be the starting quarterback for the Buccaneers. The Saints, they're still trying to figure out who's going to – well, no, they signed Derek Carr. And then you've got the Falcons, who are going to go with the rookie, and now Carolina. I was not shocked. And should the size of Bryce Young matter in the NFL, Misty?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think it just depends on your level of play. I mean, obviously, I think everybody has some concerns about Young's size and how, he gets himself into trouble while he's navigating pressure. And so it's definitely going to be something to watch. And the NFL is very different from college. So I am concerned about his stature.
It's different, it's faster, all those things. But I think one of the benefits, and everybody used to say, well, Alabama would beat the Browns when they were 0-17.
No.
They would not do that.
He's got a quick release. I mean, I think he'll be okay, but I do think size matters.
I think Frank Reich is going to have to figure out a way to. Frank Reich is also on his second opportunity as a head coach, new quarterback, all that. And so I do think it was a great pick. And I look for them when we start getting closer and maybe they add a few other things. They may be my pick to win that NFC South. My other pick at the moment would probably be the Saints because of Derek Carr. But the rest of it changed when pick number 2 came, Josh, and the Houston Texans, who was both in y'all's list of the most pressure of the franchise. They picked C.J. Stroud. That's not a big shocker. But what was the shocker was the trade that they made and went pick number 2, pick number 3, and probably got the best player in the draft in Will Anderson Jr.
That was truly shocking, and it was truly one of those. This is a franchise moment for them. This is the Herschel Walker trade, for Houston, because if these two guys both hit, and they have a franchise quarterback and a perennial All-Pro defensive end, that changes their trajectory, for the next 10 years. On the flip side, and this is the same for the Panthers, who picked number 1, which I think there's always a lot of pressure in that number 1 pick, is if Stroud doesn't make, and they're right back in the same boat that they were, then they blew a lot of future capital to make this 2-3 punch work.
But I think you're exactly right, and it's not their fault if C.J. Stroud doesn't make it, because everything shows you that you should. If I'm going to a resort that's known for being a great place and food is good and service is fantastic and the beds are great and the shower works and the entertainment is so fantastic at this resort, if I get there and things don't work out, it's not my fault for picking that resort. It just happened to not live up to that expectation, because I think that's where a lot of these franchises struggle in. And I don't know how much you put blame on it, because there's only so much research you can do until you put that quarterback, Bryce Young, on an NFL team in an NFL game, until you put C.J. Stroud in an NFL game. And I think it's a little different. The quarterback's a very important part of obviously the important part of the team. But what Will Anderson Jr. is going to be able to provide I think even though the speed's going to change and that offensive lineman's going to be good, he's going to be the one that I think will make a huge impact next year and could be the Micah Parsons of the Houston Texans.
Well, I mean, that's obviously what they're hoping for, and it will. I mean, take that right back out of your mouth. No one else is Micah Parsons for one. But I should slap you, but you're too far away for me to reach.
We're never going to go to commercial.
Look, if you're a Houston Texan, if you're on the staff, if you're a player, if you're a fan, all of the above, you are excited about the direction
100%.
of where this is going. But there's a lot more holes to fill. This is a step in the right direction, but it's not like they're just going to come out and be a total domination next year, in my opinion.
I disagree.
I think they have a lot more to do.
They're in a division that is right now. It's probably the division of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I just don't think two good picks are. I mean, they have more, but are going to just completely change the franchise.
Dameon Pierce. They added Dalton Schultz.
It is a step in the right direction.
And you have a good backup. If Case Keenum has to play, you're going to be in good hands. So that was a good job. The Texans got better.
Yes.
The other team that got better, that was one of my pressure picks, were the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles got number 9. They didn't mind the off-the-field issues, choosing Jalen Carter, who Dallas, you better have somebody to pick up and know where he's at, because I think he can be Will Anderson type problem. And then they added his Georgia teammate Nolan Smith. The Philadelphia Eagles got good last night, coming off the NFC Championship in the first round of the draft last night, and it is a tough one. The Dallas Cowboys selected Mazi Smith, a Michigan defensive tackle. A lot of high praise that he could be an anchor and help Dan Quinn's defense. Josh, we knew Bijan wasn't going to be the guy. He wasn't going to be there at 27. There was no chance.
Well, earlier in the draft, people were talking about that he might, because no one was going to pick up a running back in the first round, but then 2 got picked in the top 12.
And I'll talk about that other pick in a moment. But the Cowboys pick, your thoughts on Mazi? I'm not a fan of it.
He's a second-round pick, and we got him in the first round.
I agree with that. What would you?
Cowboys fashion.
What would you have liked to see pick?
Well, I mean, I guess the Michael Mayer pick was a little too cliche, since we needed a tight end, and he was there, and it was somebody that had a lot of first-round talk. So that was, the other was Joey Porter Jr. I thought that. That was kind of a slip that fell to them that might get picked up. But then, I mean, I don't know. Defensive line is a place that we could use some help, and I do think that Mazi Smith is an improvement to what we currently have. So on that side of the things, you're like, oh, okay, but I'd not. Here's the thing. Always people talk about, do you draft for need or you draft the best available? And typically I'm on the draft the best available side of things. So if you thought that Utah tight end, I've now forgot his name. Why did I forget his name? But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, like he was the guy that, a lot of people were kind of pegging the Cowboys that would get, but then he got picked right before the Cowboys by the Bills, who traded up to get him. Dalton was also his name. I forgot his last name. But Kincaid. So once he was gone, then do you just go with the next tight end, or do you get the best available? I don't know, but I felt like Mazi Smith was neither the best available nor the most needed. So we'll see. And I would love to be proved wrong.
And Nate, again, we were a little nervous. We weren't real excited about Micah Parsons when he was picked. We thought, okay, maybe it'll work. Maybe we'll.
Well, yeah, because Parsons had off the field issues, but I'm entertained by that now, because he seems like a very stand-up guy. And in fact, since he's been with the Cowboys, his off the field issues have been mainly just
being the leader, one of the top leaders of the Cowboys.
Well, right. And the only thing he's done that caused any controversy was making a too far right tweet that was not PC enough, so they
he's
made him
definitely
take
a fan
it down.
favorite. For sure.
11 jerseys are flying off the shelf.
Oh, absolutely.
A couple other things, and when we come back, we'll roll into Aaron Rodgers, and also got your number. But want to talk about the other teams that I thought got better were the Detroit Lions. They added the Gibbs running back from Alabama. again, I think because we'll talk about it in our next segment, the Aaron Rodgers situation now leaving that division, in my opinion, is still the Detroit Lions to get. Another team that got better, Quentin Johnston going to the Chargers, adding another weapon for Herbert. That I thought he was a good pickup for them. But again, the breakdown, and I couldn't remember if I told you, but the breakdown, we had 6 Big 12 guys picked, 9 Big 10, and 8 SEC players selected last night. Round 2 today, the Cowboys pick again at number 27 unless they do some trading. And then the Browns still haven't had a pick yet. They won't get one until the 3rd round, and the Pittsburgh Steelers will start off the 2nd round. One other quick thing. Were you shocked that to me, the Cardinals are not going into the season of 2023 looking to be successful? They're trying to get ready to be successful in 24 with the picks that they made in the trade that they did with the Houston Texans, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, the other news is Lamar Jackson got his contract. We'll talk about that. More quarterback news. Aaron Rodgers heading to the Jets. And when we come back, we will do Got Your Number with Misty selected the number. Josh, I think, is going to be disappointed in it. But when we come back, we'll talk Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't own number 12. We'll talk about who owns number 9 right after this.
Everyone in my family uses electricity differently.
What made
when
you
it comes
select
to our
that?
Touchstone Energy Cooperative,
Divided Josh's by 2.
No, what did you pick? 15? Oh, 18. I forgot. I was thinking of different. And I don't know. I just number
And it
9.
wouldn't be divided by 2.
Number 9 is I don't know. It's just a lot of people wear number 9 throughout sports, and so I was just kind of thinking I was gonna pick 14 because that was my number, but I was like, no, I want a couple more people that we can talk about. So
I don't know that many people.
I mean, obviously they're not gonna be the GOAT, but there's definitely people that are up there.
We accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility. Our folks at DRI, or better known as the DRI Shredders, are here to
And
assist
this segment
and
is
serve
funny
you in the
because it
destruction
is
of your most
definitely
private documents or just
you're
so
more
annoying
inclined to
stacks
probably
of
pick a
boxes.
baseball
Yeah,
player,
that's
and I
always where I go.
and I usually go football.
232-6868, or come on out and see us at 3602 North Clack Street. You'll be glad you did, and I know the DRI Shredders will too.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice cold Coors Light.
Yeah, I'm just ready for 5. I'm like,
Take the
bring
afternoon
it.
off and binge watch anything.
You're ready for
Have a
5.
happy
This
hour
is
and
just,
stay for a
I'm
couple
loving
hours.
this little
Who's counting on
ensemble.
you?
Y'all have just been really stepping it up lately. Just want to say, good job. Good job,
You're
fellas.
saying we used to not dress good? What is that? How should we take that?
No,
It's kind of like,
I
that's a
mean-
really nice outfit, Misty, over the other ones. I mean, granted, it's trashy, but other than
Yeah,
that,
no, apparently, yeah.
If not, you're
A
missing
little
one of the
trashy.
best atmospheres around, with amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience.
Well, I just feel like, spring and summer outfits are a lot cuter than winter.
Go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897.
Even though you did not want to take the picture of the game, it turned out so stinking cute. You're like, this is dumb. Like literally, as we're smiling, he's like, hurry up, this is dumb. Oh, I look like the Michelin Man. I was wearing like 7 layers. Looks like
Did you
Misty
put on
packed
your
on some
hoodie?
LBs.
well, and one person said something about me being on my tippy toes. I'm like, I'm not on
Oh,
my tippy
yeah.
toes. There, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm on number 64.
Oh, of the book.
I've enjoyed it. I really have.
I get torn though. I'm like, I don't really want to know what number we're gonna talk about because I want, like we talked about, I want to have my own thoughts, but then it's hard not
I
to
didn't
keep,
highlight it.
to know what the book says.
At First Bank and Trust.
Or is it gonna be
Our
an
story started in
achievement?
1996, and it
Like it was
Right,
last time.
right. That's the curveball that.
and our neighbors.
And I tried to think of an achievement at number 9. Like I was trying to think of,
Where do you want to go?
but
Whether
I
starting
couldn't come
a
up with
business,
anything.
Saving for the future, or launching your ideas to the next level.
So I did
We want
not.
to help you take your first steps towards something big. Call or email one of our bankers today. At First Bank and Trust, we see potential, ideas, innovation, growth everywhere.
Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Good morning. Oh, well, that came out like singing right there.
Dang.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between as we rock and roll this morning. And Josh, we want to talk about the Aaron Rodgers situation. I'm going to turn it over to you. Your thoughts on that?
On Aaron Rodgers? Well, it's funny, just that how he goes from the Packers to the Jets, just like Favre. So that's my first thought. It's just like it's silly. And the second part, is like, I don't know what to expect of it because there are weapons in New York. I mean, the team is, has some people around them that can make things happen. So there's that, but I'm not sure how it's really going to carry. You had mentioned in some pre-show talk that like it's going to be the Matthew Stafford of this year. Like the veteran quarterback going in and just turning something around. And I mean, I could see it, but I don't think the rest of the team is LA Rams level. And that's just from the 10,000 foot view, I guess.
I agree with that. Obviously, not a fan. So I think that he's going to flop. And he's old. He's not Tom Brady. He doesn't have it in him. I would go on a stretch and say they don't make the playoffs. Huge stretch.
Well, Daniel Orlowski made a very good point. Here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers, again, I'm not a fan of Brooks Koepka. Okay? Stay with me.
I know where this is going.
Brooks Koepka from Netflix, the Full Swing episode, understood him a little bit more. Not a fan, still Liv needs guys to be away. I saw this week they talked about the Liv said, hey, if they want us for the Ryder Cup team, we're all for it. Aaron Rodgers is growing on me.
Is there a documentary about him that I should watch?
No, there is not.
Okay, well then I'm probably not going to like him.
The
still.
Aaron Rodgers that showed up in New York just seemed like the new environment was a game changer.
And maybe it will be.
But back to my Orlowski comment, there's 7 teams that make the playoffs. Okay? There's 7 teams that make the NFL playoffs. The NFC ranking of quarterbacks would take a long time on trying to figure out who are the top 4. It's even harder in the AFC because there are so many good ones. There's so many good quarterbacks in the AFC, and somebody's going to be sitting out, not making the playoffs. Whether that's Burrow, it's probably not going to be Mahomes, Justin Herbert. You've got Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. Now you have Aaron Rodgers. You start looking at Trevor Lawrence, who took his team to the playoffs and had a good run. And now you start adding C.J. Stroud to the Texans. He's not there yet, but you got Tua and you got Russell Wilson. You've got a lot of good quarterbacks, and somebody's going to be sitting at home when it's all said and done. I think, Josh, to your question or to your disagreement of me thinking it's going to change and they're going to win a Super Bowl, I think they're going to be pretty good. And this is what, April 28, 2023. You never figured anything out for the Texan thing, and they never came close to 7 wins. I'm not picking them as a Super Bowl winner.
Womp womp.
It's not my fault. That's y'all's fault. I'm not picking the Super Bowl winner. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but they will win that division. They're going to win that division. And Josh Allen's the other one. You're one of your favorites.
Yeah,
Josh Allen's
they're not
another
going to
one.
win the division.
They're going to win the division.
Nope, not a chance.
Yes, they will. And starting then,
that is rich right there.
they're going to win the division.
Well, his history of making bold predictions is you might as well just flush it down the toilet.
Oh, it's a kiss of death for sure.
I'm very scared.
You should be. I mean,
I am.
Texans are winning.
Scared.
Actually, the Texans will win the Super Bowl.
That's like him. I was gonna say. Why don't you say the Texans?
But I think Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to make a difference, and their roster is.
You're such a Kool-Aid kid.
I'm not a
Where's
Kool-Aid
your red punch?
He's
I'm
gonna
not
get
a
hurt in the
kid.
third game and be out the rest of the season.
I mean, do you think he's washed up?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he hasn't played to MVP level in several seasons. you can blame that on the
He
like.
was the MVP 2 years ago. Last year he didn't win it.
Okay, 2 years.
He's won it 2 years in a row.
Well, okay, for the year before that, sorry, like
Yeah.
he did win the MVP. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But last year was not good. The year before that was not good.
Third time's a charm. This year's not going to be good.
Well, it's okay.
I don't think he's washed up. I don't think he's washed up.
I don't think there's.
I think it's the Jets. Give me a break.
Yeah, I don't think he's as good. Yeah, I don't see it. Maybe you will prove me wrong, but I do not see it.
I mean, they were competitive in a number of games. The last time he played on a top-ranked defense, they won a Super Bowl. I know that was a long time ago, but I do think that they're going to be pretty good. I think again,
The
Garrett
Jets were competitive.
Brees Hall, he's going to be good. Garrett Wilson already is good. Corey Davis, Alan Lazard joining the team.
So optimistic.
I am
I love
optimistic.
your positivity.
I am positive.
The Kool-Aid kid.
Yeah.
Yay!
Hey, Kool-Aid coming through the door. All right. So speaking of Kool-Aid, has nothing to do with the number 9. But Misty, you chose forgot your number this week. We're looking at number 9. You picked number 9. Give us your thoughts on number 9, and we'll kind of go from there.
So I'm not going to pick who y'all think I'm going to pick. Who wears number 9? My crush in Tony Romo. So, don't worry. If that's what you were thinking, where that came from, don't worry about that. That was so weird, but here we are. So now he's the cutest number 9 in my opinion, but he's not my number 9. So there were a lot, or not a lot, but there were several number 9s out there that I was looking up. And obviously, Josh and I talked about this on break, that a lot of these numbers are what our favorite sport is. So I'm likely to pick a football guy. So my number 9 is Drew Brees. And just a couple of stats. 264 games played, 74,437 passing yards, 520 passing touchdowns, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, 12-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, 4-time second-team All-Pro, 2 times NFL Offensive Player of the Year, Walter Payton, NFL Man of the Year, NFL Comeback Player of the Year. So, and
5'11".
And he is from Texas. I just like Drew Brees. So, in my opinion, he is a contender for number 9.
Josh?
Well, I think when Misty picked the number and sent out the text, I said, if it's not Ted Williams, then you can throw the book in the trash. So I'm no longer reading the book.
I did laugh. I was like, uh-oh, I think he's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, Ted Williams, very, very good. He's still the last guy that hit
The last guy that hit 400. He won Triple Crowns. He's got the all-time highest on-base percentage for a career. Surprisingly enough, and this always gets with the Hall of Fame voting, he only got 94% of the Hall of Fame vote, which is asinine. His career spanned him also being a fighter pilot in World War II and Korea, where he actually had his plane hit with anti-aircraft fire and had to make an emergency landing. So he was actually in real combat, not some sort of cush job that a lot of the celebrities did when they signed up for the military back then. So his counting stats didn't get quite to where they could have, and he still had over 2,500 hits and 520 home runs. 521, I think, is what he retired with. And that would have been more had he not taken two stints away to be a fighter pilot in the Marine Corps. And his head's frozen, so he can be brought back to life later.
I mean, America.
There we go.
So,
well, you were both wrong. Not wrong in your choices. I don't disagree with Ted Williams. I don't disagree with Drew Brees. Now, I agree. Let me rephrase that. I agree that he's up for it. I probably would have gone with Ted Williams too.
Again, it goes back to football.
Well, it's the same
baseball.
reason he picked Pudge
Right.
for number 7.
Right.
But when you start thinking about, again, got your number, owning the book, or owning the book, but owning number, the number and who owns it. The choice was blank is the greatest player who ever lived, and Wayne Gretzky said these words. And even though Wayne Gretzky is known as the great one, Gordie Howe is the greatest player to ever live, and Gordie Howe is the one that Greeny and Hembo decided owned number 9. Played forever, longtime hockey player. Again, I think that's one of the great things about the book, and one of the struggles of the book is our age and all those things. And so those are the biggest struggles of being able to agree with a guy like Gordie Howe for us. But Gordie Howe played for a number of years, retired again. Howe played 499 games and collected 549 points as a Hall of Famer alone. Fittingly, Mr. Hockey played the greatest seasons in Hockeytown and makes an outstanding case for the greatest athlete in Detroit history. And so Gordie Howe is owner of number 9. And again, want to give a shout out for some folks that are going to pick up and sponsor this segment. Tracer Cards presents For the Love of the Hobby. Going to be an opportunity for children parent Topps Big League Baseball 2 Hobby Box Live Baseball Card Break. Opening up baseball cards. He said they did a show a couple weeks ago and seeing kids opening up baseball cards. Josh, when I was growing up, baseball cards were a thing. You went to Sports Galore, you got a Beckett to see how much your card was worth and see all those things. And this is going to be at DBAT Sunday, May 7th at 6:30 at DBAT Abilene 3329 Maple.
I love baseball cards. I used to memorize them like Rain Man.
Well, and everybody would gather them up, and you wanted the piece of gum from Topps that was a terrible piece of gum.
Yes.
I never wasted my time with that. But
I wanted to collect 1987 Topps Atlanta Braves because they were on TV all the time.
Topps was a good one. I was across the board. I had a lot of Don Russ and Upper Deck came out, and I have the first ever Upper Deck complete set, which has the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie. I think I have it. My mom would have thrown it away. I didn't take it with me when I left. I should probably pick that up.
Your mom sold it and made it. They went on
It's
vacation.
like it's already sold.
But
I'm a huge baseball card fan.
Yeah, but and maybe that's something I need to look at. It, check it out. I don't have any kids, but go check out the deal again. It's going to be at DBAT May 7th, 6:30. Check out Tracer Cards on Facebook. It's just one of those things that baseball cards was a big deal. And you remember when you would get the error one, like,
it had the wrong picture.
Had the wrong picture,
Yes.
and there was one of Billy Ripken, and there was something derogatory written on the bat head.
Yeah.
And but if you got the error one, it was worth a lot of money. But I'll never forget getting a Will Clark 1989 Donruss rookie card, and it was worth $30. I'm like, man, I'm about to retire. And I was like 8.
I'm pretty sure I have Case Keenum's card in my purse. I know that's
just
super
carry that
weird,
around.
but we got it.
I may
somehow.
run into him. Will you sign this?
No, really, it's
Hello.
like his rookie card. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look at that in my purse.
It's been down there with the
It's in my checkbook.
with the lint at the bottom.
It's in my checkbook.
And
Dig
that's
in
where
there like
I'm gonna
that.
look for that on the break.
and that's where all the trashy stuff holds. When we come back, we'll talk. Knowing is half the battle.
It's where we work. And as your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, we know our community isn't just important.
Sorry, Gordy.
It's everything.
I don't know enough about
Which
you.
is why we're grateful for your trust.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't read it because I was like, whatever.
Because
But
for us,
I also thought
That's why
I know Gordie Howe. I've heard of him. I know he's one
I
of the
think
greatest
that's
ever.
why
Right.
looking. I know y'all want to do your research, but looking at it and then doing it to disagree allows the conversation. What am I looking at? Oh.
Well, no, I would read. I would have read it otherwise. But I want to not be persuaded by it. I want to speak my own
Our
opinion.
services include routine
Uh,
pickup, purges, or we accept drop-offs
but
at our state-of-the-art.
To be honest, I didn't know Gordie Howe was number 9. Or I mean, if I would have known he was number 9, I would have considered that. I know who number 99 is, though.
Or just those annoying stacks of boxes you've had piled up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6868 or come on out and see us at 3602 North Clapp Street. You'll be glad you did. And I know the DRI shredders will too.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around, with amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
Miller Lite is the light beer brewed for people who love the taste of beer. For those who are always the first to volunteer for beer runs, who hit up tailgates for sports that they don't even like, and believe having a beer fridge in the garage is non-negotiable. It's a 96-calorie, 3.2 carb love letter to beer lovers who know that the best part of beer is the beer part. Miller Lite. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin beer.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall of Abilene. For over 33 years, Lawrence Hall of Abilene has been the place to find the best GMC Buick and Chevy, and that is still true today. Great products and great service too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or visit us online at Lawrence.
Well, the fan's like right on me. No, I'm good. I mean, I'm not like freezing. I'm just always cold. It comes off my heart.
Whoa.
Cold heart.
So trashy people are.
Yeah, apparently.
Cold, trashy.
Yeah. I'm cold hearted.
CTB.
Oh my gosh.
CTV. Oh.
Cold. I'm like,
Huh?
I can't.
It's verbal education, obviously strong.
That'll be the next T-shirt we make. CTV.
ATV. It would be like Whitey Bill.
Yeah.
On the what is that? Why? That is still so funny. I was like, is that a real town?
So give Daniel a call,
Oh my gosh, yes.
325-7071, or check out the
Yes.
website at embarkland.com.
You got us a good knowing half the battle, Josh?
No.
Did you? I mean, this is literally the cutest picture ever. Look. Luke loves Collins. It is like the cutest thing ever.
Yes.
Problems for 30 years. If you have pest issues, let our family help you. For service or questions, call or text at 325-673-6700.
Coming to your door.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. We're excited that you're with us this morning as we're rolling through our second Embark Land Management Hour. Appreciate Daniel and Victoria McDuff of Embark Land Management sponsoring our hour, 7 and 8 o'clock hour. Appreciate them very much. And if you need land needs at all, reach out to Embark Land Management. Shook me all night long. The draft order's been shook. It's been done. And now it's time to... What? Yeah, there you go.
I'm
Josh.
gonna make up some analogies as I go along. They're gonna fly like a lead balloon.
But the good thing about this, Josh, is this is when we come to be educated, because again, knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. And today I want to talk to you all about knowing a little something about, because I was reminded about this when see, and this is a perfect example of when I showed up this morning and realized that I hadn't thought about what I was going to talk about in this segment. So then I got an email that from a work-related email that I had no idea what it was in reference to. So I was very confused by that. And then I thought, sometimes you just have to fake it. But the thing is, you got to know when you fake it or when you just take it. So it's like, do you own up to it? Like, I'm confused. I don't know what you're talking about. Or do you go like, yep, I'm on it. And then think, what the heck are they talking about? So that's something that every situation is different because obviously there are backfires. If you walk into a situation and you're just like, I'm just going to play this like I know what's going on. I'm just going to, like as they say, fake it till you make it. Then you can get in way, way too deep. Like you get to the point where, well, now I'm not sure what's going on and I'm going to have to backtrack admit that I never knew what was going on, and then you just look really bad. Have you ever had that situation happen, Misty?
So I'm a fake it till you make it type of person. I feel like I'm winging 90% of my life. So I'm trying to think of a specific situation. I mean, yeah, I know that I've definitely been in them, but I feel like I've always been able to kind of like weasel my way out of it, I guess. So I can't think of anything that was detrimental. So I just can't think of anything, but
So you so like I said, you got to play this both ways, because sometimes you just have to say like, well, excuse me, I'm not sure what you speak about, or could you go ahead and tell me your name again? Because that's one of the worst. You get in these situations, like I'm telling you, I will forget someone's name.
oh, I'm terrible about
See
that.
them next time, and they'll be like, "Hey, Josh," I'll be, "Hey, what's happening? Good to see you." And like you have this conversation, you're like, "I can't remember this guy's name,"
Same.
and
you start texting people that are in the room
Yeah, like-
that you know.
then because eventually you get to this point where it's like, I've now had a conversation with this guy 3 times. I still don't know his name.
Yeah.
And at some point, and this is when it gets real bad, because this is when I've like you have to just fall on the grenade. Where then
They
someone
know.
else walks up and you are in this, I have to introduce this. So I'm like, "Hey, Misty, this is my friend." Like, then you blew it.
Well, as
Yeah.
like couples, and we're not a couple, but we would almost like, you need to create that eye contact.
Ask the name.
Ask,
Yes.
because like it's on Seinfeld again. Everything can go back to Seinfeld when Jerry's trying to figure out this name of a lady and can't remember, and they've dated, and he goes, "We've made out, and I don't even know what her name is." And George tries to get her to say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm
Yes.
George," and she doesn't say her name and leaves, and he was like, "I gave it a shot." You've got to have that communication. Whether we were in it's funny you talk about communication. Or yesterday we were in a training talking about good member or customer service and how you communicate. Like body language gives you all these things. Well, then I'm in a meeting after that training, and I'm sitting there like, "All right, what's my body language? Like, what am I preparing?"
I hope that's your body language. Like,
Yeah,
what was
because
that?
they said your body language is like 80% of your communication. So when you start talking about that, do I know you? I'm going to be honest with you. There is this person
The deer in headlights.
that
Oh,
I
yes.
see semi-regularly, and
Male or female?
male
Okay.
at events and at functions and chamber things and
Did
HBA
you
stuff.
see him last night?
No.
Okay.
He went deer in the headlights on
No,
that.
I don't know why. But my point is, and he knows me as Hodge. And so all these things, and for the life of me, I was trying to figure out at the event that I was at a couple weeks ago, who could I text in here? But then I started to text that person I knew. But then you got to trust that if
Yeah,
I
they're
text,
not going to throw you under the bus.
Right. Hey, they say, "Hey,
Right.
you know Hodge or Ryan and Hodge," or because again, people know me from both names. Hey, he didn't even know who you were, so I didn't send that text. So I still do not know this guy's name, and he looks like another person that doesn't
Oh,
help
that's
that
the
cause
worst.
at all.
Well, that is a whole separate thing, because there's sometimes you're like, "Man, I think I know this person," and then finally it clicks to you that like you might have seen that person before, but it's actually that person just looks very similar to this other person, so
Yes.
it confuses you. But not knowing someone's name is all like that's one of the pinnacles for me of the, you sometimes you got to fake it, and sometimes you just got to take it. But you have to be prepared. If you fake it, you might end up really blowing
Well,
it up.
and the other thing, talking about, that same type of situation, not necessarily the name deal, is that, like for us, a builder or somebody may, and not even builder, like at church, like we've got a business meeting this coming Sunday. And thank goodness for somebody in the church reminded me what we're supposed to talk about. And you're like, you have to start Googling, or not Googling, but you start going back to text, and you start going back to emails. Like, did they tell me we were doing that? Was we were supposed to do that? Or like for our case, like if a builder says, "Hey, I need a tent meter, or I need this built," or whatever, and getting that message back to the guys that build those jobs, I'm like, did we make the service order? Did I remember to send it? Because normally if I get that text, the first thing I do is send it to the office so that can be made. But like if you've got a credit report or anything
Right.
that you're working on for a house, and you're like, did I send that? And then you
Or did I call them back?
but then you start Omahaing like Peyton Manning on. I'm going to buy a little time. That's why I do not have red on. That's why I do not have red on my text. So buy me a little time, in case I don't know.
Yes.
The auto receipt, you never want auto receipt.
No, and so but having that time to fake it, or hey, you know what, we'll get back to you. And that's the other thing that we learned in the communication course yesterday, was making sure that you don't certain words you just I have no idea, and until don't, can't, and won't is like the last words you want to use until you've gone down every rabbit hole to find out.
Well,
I did this yesterday with a customer that we were talking really late, and it was a credit decision, and I felt a certain type of way about it, and was like, okay, this is going to be a denial. But I wanted to double check
with
that's
not how that went.
With someone else, and so instead of talking to some of the other officers, I went straight to the top El Presidente, and we had a conversation about it, and kind of went through it, and it was fine. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to call this person back in the morning, when I get done with the show or whatever. But same thing, she had called me, and I was going to call her back. And then I was like, dang it, was I the last to call her or her to call me? Like I was questioning who did it. But then my famous line, y'all, I'm such a nerd. I'll say something like, well, sorry, I've slept since then. Like, let's have a refresher. Yeah. Well, yeah, not if it's the same day, but like 2 weeks later, I'm like, you'll have to refresh me on that. I've slept since then or whatever, just kind of make a joke about it.
Yeah. Well, because that's the way you take it. You own up to it. You're like, I don't recall. Right. I don't know what we're speaking about here.
Right.
But so you make a decision, because otherwise you could fake it and then you end up saying the wrong thing to somebody. And I mean, I've done that numerous times where you like thought you had some conversation, or you tied in the conversation you had with somebody else, and then you're confusing the other person. But that's a whole nother can of worms.
So we just need to own it.
Yeah, and like I did this morning, I have show prep. I have notes on actually what I'm going to talk about in this segment. But yesterday was very busy for me, and then we watched the NFL draft, and then the Rangers lost 4 in a row, and I forgot. So today I had to own up to it.
Your heart
I forgot.
Was broken. I understand.
I forgot.
It's like when I was a disaster of the week.
Had to go with what I was feeling.
Yeah, and that's.
I love it. Look at you talking about your feelings as a man. Good job.
Misty and I are Dr. Phil here, helping Josh, doing what he does every Friday, helping you. That knowing is half the battle, and now we know. G.I. Joe. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show and head into the weekend.
I love it. G.I. Joe.
It's the G.I. Joe is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting hot now. I was comfortable earlier.
You were in the hot
seat. Because you just had to admit we had the light on you to get through your segment.
Yeah, to admit.
What was funny is I didn't even think about it when I got here. We were like going through. I got here and then it's like, oh wait, I didn't ever plan what I was going to say in that segment.
Oh, there's sometimes the question, it's on the drive here for Misty's back. And then other times, because I have a whole list, like I will think of a question.
Leslie, I have notes. I randomly think of things and I put it in my notes.
Right. I'll think of a question at 10 o'clock at night and I'll just stick it in my notes because I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that one tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends on what we're talking about or the trend or, whatever. If I really want to talk about something that's going to throw y'all off or more than one topic, but.
Well, we need to plug your email next.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's good.
Or visit online at bigcountry.coop. That's a list you have. One more thing.
I think we would be.
Oh, knowing is half the battle, Joshua.
That is true. True story.
I was wondering if y'all were partaking in the draft.
Because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light.
We're gonna have about 6-7 minutes left.
2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
It's my preferred flavor.
Is it? I cannot. I want to like it. I want to like all of it. but it's kind of like coffee to me. Like they say it's an acquired taste. At least for me, I cannot. I have tried probably every beer under the sun just to try it, and I cannot. Like, I don't know, coffee
I
either.
haven't tried all of them, but I really only have two that I didn't. I know.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Because I like.
Misty's Baskin Robbins over there.
Like, I'm literally trying them. I want to be a beer drinker.
I wish I was a coffee drinker.
But coffee, either one.
I drink a ton of coffee.
See, I don't do coffee or.
Do you drink it just black or however it's made?
Or beer.
Do you add any sugar or cream?
Like sometimes on like Saturday mornings, chilling at the house, I'll put some like caramel macchiatos.
That's what Clay likes.
Like, I do like that, but I just drink it.
See, I think it's one of the worst aftertastes of all time.
And your breath,
Oh
like,
yeah,
little,
I've got the coffee breath like right now.
yeah, like, ew.
Good
Especially
thing-
when you have a little
Good
drainage.
thing-
Hey, it's a good thing we don't have to share mics
Yeah.
anymore with you two.
Oh my God, I'd be like,
You start
Josh!
calling
You
you
have a little like
Starbucks.
allergy drainage like I've got going on now, and the coffee. You just feel like
Oh,
the breath
man.
is like
It's kicking.
outstandingly
Yeah,
bad.
it's kicking right now. Yeah.
You'll be glad you did.
Yeah, I just,
At First
yeah,
Quality
coffee,
Trust, our
smoke,
story started in 1996, and it continues because of you,
Cannot
our customers,
with that.
our communities, and our neighbors. We are proud to
That's
be a
why I
small
drink
part of
tea,
your
because-
success. But where does
which
your story start?
or Herbalife or whatever, something like that, because that's like my coffee.
Your ideas to the next level. We want to help you take your first steps towards something big.
So we'll do a little
Or email
show
one of our bankers today.
recap. I
At
think that's what we
First
can
Bank
start
Trust,
doing.
we
Oh,
see
dang,
potential,
damn it, that's the
ideas,
other thing I wanted to
innovation,
do.
growth
What?
everywhere.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet?
Oh
If
my
not,
gosh.
you're missing one of the best
I need a good
offers around
massage.
with
Like,
amazing food, great
I need
drinks,
to be
live music.
I have a
tracked
very
in-
minimal fee, but I
If the price is right.
Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at
Oh.
Potosi Live on Facebook
I do.
for upcoming live
I need a
music
good,
and
like,
ticket events.
massage.
I'm gonna start a side business.
I could not let you give me a massage though, and then us do the show on Friday. Like, I would be mortified. Because, I mean, I'm full out when I'm getting a massage done.
That would be a little awkward.
So, I can't. You cannot be my doctor or my masseuse.
Fair enough.
Y'all are welcome.
It would just be so weird.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Live and everything in between. Again, we appreciate everybody tuning in this morning. Be sure you get over to KLGD1069.com where you can listen to us anywhere in the world, where you can jam out to the Texas Two-Step with Greg or catch JB at 10. Of course, a lot of stuff, Red Dirt Proud. Of course, the High Lonesome Show. A lot of things going on. And don't forget, Dallas Cowboy Radio Network is right here, is where we are. So we want to take a moment as we get ready to wrap up the show and head into the weekend. Want to take a moment again to thank Katie Alford for coming in this morning to talk about Abilene Gives. And I know, Misty, you were on your way, and Josh and I and you are involved in a number of nonprofits, whether it's on the board or our passion, like, again, DRI, the Shredders, and again, go check them out. Find a way to give back. And Abilene is just such a good, and like y'all experienced at your JA golf tournament, and I'll be at the Noah Project golf tournament later today, is that you do see Abilene really come together and do a good job giving back.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, I can't even remember every year the number just blows me away. Like, over $1 million, and locally, it's just absolutely incredible. I hope that I have, that kind of money one day, and I can just be like, yeah, let me just make it rain on all these nonprofits. But yeah, Abilene is special, very, very special. And Katie and the community foundation, they do such a great job. And so I just love everything that they do. And it's just amazing because we have so many nonprofits in
170. Did that shock y'all, or did that seem about right for y'all when we were talking about that?
I thought that was it didn't necessarily shock me, but I was like, ooh, that's definitely up there. It was more than I thought.
Well, that's why when I asked about it during the segment, how do you differentiate? How do you, like, it's hard for supporters to make decisions because there's multiple things that you support, and things like that. So, I mean, it's a tough landscape to navigate, but like Katie said, you just got to pick your passion, and there's something there that you can support. And to that end, with the Abilene Gives, they do different prizes and stuff for just like the most pledges, not necessarily the most money, so even if you just got $5, you could help that company get to their amount of pledges that they needed to get. Then they would get certain matches and things. So
And they're just so helpful. I mean, they, with seniors graduating, obviously my son graduates in less than 30 days. So it's fine. I'm fine. Everybody's fine. But, we have the Love Like Jazz Scholarship that the Community Foundation has helped our family and friends with. And
so is that part of something you could donate to on that?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know how they're allocating all of that, but yes, if you've got a senior right now and, go check out their website, get a hold of them and definitely apply for the Love Like Jazz Scholarship. They'll be going through those applicants soon and awarding those scholarships. And so again, they just do all the things. The Community Foundation of Abilene just doing all the good and just a great, great organization. But I would not want to be on some of those committees where you're having to be the deciding factor of, the allocation of those funds. That would be very, very hard. I mean, we've gone through that on the scholarship, for Junior Achievement, a local nonprofit, and it is tough. We have a lot of talented kids in the big country, a lot of nonprofits that need our help. And so, again, I'm glad that I don't have to be the one to make those final decisions for sure.
Well, and you just think about, you mentioned it, Josh, and we work at companies that are fortunate enough that give back to different organizations and charities and all that. But you start looking at, and that's what's great about Abilene Gives, is if there is a passion you have, whether it's youth, whether it's church, whatever, there's something that you can give back to. But you mentioned like Katie and them, they represent a lot of folks, not just the nonprofit, but the different endowments and money that people give back to them that they give back out to. And they've got scholarships that they're a part of, like you mentioned, like the Jazz Scholarship. And so Tuesday will be a busy day, but it goes back to your marketing person and your development director at each one of these nonprofits. It's a big role for them. It's their Super Bowl. It is their not like tax day for an accountant. I got to get all this done.
It's their draft day.
It is their draft day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And trying to get as much money brought in, because there's not enough to be made. I mean, you make a lot of money and make decent money at a golf tournament or a clay shoot, but you've got to find a way to continue to have those funds coming in. And so appreciate Katie and him doing that. And so it'll be good. Josh had mentioned, how many people has your emails and texts been, or Facebook feeds been hit it up a lot?
Yes, a lot of emails for sure of, reminding what Tuesday is. So, and it's hard, as a donor, it's hard. It's like, okay, is this the most passionate organization that I love the most? So I'm going to put all my dollars here, but I really like, these 5. Do I split this amount up? I don't know. I don't know what's best. So I usually kind of split it up, but I just wonder, kind of what most people do on the donor side. Like when you are passionate about 5 organizations, it's like you want to give them all the things, but you can't give them all the same amount. So how do you do that? I mean, it's just give with your heart and give on Tuesday.
Well, and again, AbileneGives.org, find a organization, continue to give to the one you've always given to, give back to them, and continue to make impacts, because Abilene is such a great place to be, such a great place to live. And so it's definitely good stuff. So we appreciate Katie coming in. Next week, again, Kyle King will be here to talk about the bash that's happening at Mulligan's. I believe it's May 26th.
Yes.
I'll be out of town. I'll be out of town.
Yep, it's the 26th,
Whoa.
which is Friday, May 26th.
Memorial Day weekend. We'll be there, and so be excited about next week's show. Greg will be in with us, and so it'll be good stuff. Josh and Misty, and all the things as we get ready to head into the weekend. Everybody have a great week. Again, enjoy giving and make everything good. We're going to end the show with a little Wade Bowen. God bless this town. We pray that God blesses Abilene, continues, and be sure you get your tickets for Potosi Summer Jam with Wade Bowen, Clint Black, and Giovanni and Higher Guns. Have a great weekend.